Today we're going to be talking about zero trust. So Dave, it sounds like when I used to loan my son the car keys, I had zero trust. What is zero trust as pertains to security today?
That's a great analogy. I don't think I would trust my son with the car keys either. There's a reason why we bought him a cheaper car, right?
Hmm,
Um,
yeah.
Zero trust in cybersecurity has been around for about 10 years, and it's an idea that we should trust no one, right? It's almost a paranoid approach to protecting data and systems and assets and networks. The idea that I'm going to take all trust away from everybody in the organization and only give them access to what I explicitly give them access to. The challenge we have in networks today is networks are a open topology type of approach where if you plug your PC in, you can see everybody, you can talk to everybody, and that's the whole idea of open networking. Well, there's a downside to that is when you plug in that asset that's got highly critical data, or you've got information in places you don't want folks to get to, or applications that maybe they don't have rights or needs to get to. In an open network environment, you can't stop them from probing into it, right?
Mm.
This is what the bad guys do. They get into a network and they go laterally. They start poking over here and over there. And eventually they find something that is poorly configured, unpatched, and they get into it. And then they start branching out, right? Zero Trust says when you come into my network, you get access to only what I say you have access to. You can't go, even if you get to a server to get to your Salesforce, you can't go to the other apps on that server without explicit permissions. Now,
Mm.
what you've just done in a zero trust model is taken away that east west lateral movement in the network because I can't go anywhere else. VPNs, right? And this is one of the challenges we faced through COVID is we've given everybody VPN access, but VPNs drop you in on that open network, right? So they drop your machine, your home machine into the corporate network in a shared or in that open network environment, and now you have access to everything. So what you've done is extended your network perimeter to your home, which you want to do, right? Because you want to give them access,
Mhm.
but you don't want to do because if you haven't instituted zero trust, they have access to everything. So if your home user's credentials are compromised and someone else VPNs in as them, now they see everything.
Yeah.
Zero trust eliminates that.
Hmm. Sounds like could almost be limiting, though, to some of the end user, or it could be perceived as a limiting functionality of the infrastructure. Am I on the right track there? Or
That's a great argument. And honestly, it's the easy way out. It's easy to have an open network and just give everyone access and hope that they do the right things. But when you get in an environment where you've got data that not everybody needs, or you've got systems that not everybody should touch, um, if you don't control access, you don't have any access effectively. So what zero trust does, and this is where it's a little more difficult to implement, is it forces you as an owner of the data or the asset to have an idea what's on that asset and who should have access, and then grant and revoke access as appropriate. That's a painful process, which is a lot of the reason why zero trust hasn't been readily adopted because it's a little bit more difficult to do.
right. Well, speaking of getting it done, what do I need to get into a zero trust model? Is it done in hardware and software, a combination of both, or is it a specific overlay umbrella type platform or something?
So I think you need two things. One is there's a culture shift that has to happen. And this is completely irrespective of technology, right? Your organization has to be ready for something better, right? And zero trust is better, it's just harder. So you have to be ready culturally to make this shift. Because honestly, Cosmo, when you turn this on, folks are going to complain. Wait, I used to have access. Well, you didn't tell me you needed access. How am I supposed to know that you need access? Um, but then too, I think start small. Start at the things that you have more control over, right? So maybe you force zero trust remote access instead of VPN. And now you're at least protecting everything inside the core of your network. And as you get better at zero trust and you started small, you can add other components to it and ultimately get to a fully zero trust model. But don't try to boil the ocean on day one. You'll fail. And everybody in your company will be up in arms, and likely you'll be without a job. That might be a little extreme.
I hear you. So, are there any specific steps to get to set up this type of model? I mean, I think you mentioned some of it before. It is a culture shift, which, as we all know, that could be a really huge hurdle. But any specific steps or anything that I think starting to get us set up for a zero trust?
Well, I think look for partners or product vendors that, again, help you start small, but can scale to the whole enchilada, if you will. Um, if you start with remote access, just pick a couple of things that you want to grant access to in remote access and deny everything else. And
Right.
then as you start to have some pushback, well, I need to do this, I need to do that, you can add that into the remote access. And eventually you'll build a kind of a capabilities matrix of what's available and who needs access. And then you can start to granularly control who has access to those assets or applications um, by group, right? And once you start to get that knowledge, and that's some of the hardest part is just that administrative work up front to enable the technology to do its job. So again, start small, start with remote access. There's a couple of vendors out there that I can, recommend if you need that do this type of work, and then explore, test it, figure out how it works, and then ultimately just build a program around it. I know it sounds like an easy thing, but it's work, but the payoff is huge, right? It just makes life more secure.
I get it. David, always a pleasure and always interesting speaking to you. If you'd like to learn more about Zero Trust, give us a call, reach out to us, and we'll talk to you again real soon.